from John C. Maxwell. He has written books, quite a number of books, and one of the book that probably some of you may know is Purpose-Driven Life. So living a life of purpose, and just some videos that he has done on YouTube. 1 minute with John C. Maxwell. And this morning, I wanted us to talk about preparing and repairing. In this video, he is saying that at any given time of life, we are either preparing or repairing. We are preparing for the future. We are preparing for what we desire of the future, or we are repairing because of what we missed in the past. And that's my reflection this morning. I don't know where you are. I don't know if you are preparing or you are repairing. But my hope is that we can be able to minimize repairs and maximize on preparation. And the way to minimize repairs is just to make the right choices. The right choices, for example, the choice you made to be here this morning for a lecture, or rather for just an engagement in learning, but also the daily choices that you're making in life can either make you prepare for the future or repair, or in the future you find yourself repairing some things that went wrong. And so it's important that each one of us would make the right choices to make it count, to make our lives count. And I have interacted with people, and part of that is actually you guys. I know I will meet you in 4.1 and 4.2, and some of the conversations I have with students is what is your biggest fear? Yeah, and some of the students, the fears they share are fears of, I don't feel adequate. I don't feel like I measure up for the, in terms of the expectations that are there in the market. And I want to ask you, do you feel that at this particular time, do you feel you can't measure up to the expectations of the industry where you're going to go out there and make a difference? And if you feel that way, please prepare. Please prepare. Start preparing. Start doing some units online. Start learning online. Start doing something extra over and above what Mr. Njero can give you. That is the way to prepare. Start reading books, preparing for the future, getting it right, maximizing on your time. Because if you don't prepare, you will repair. Yeah? You will definitely repair that. When you are out of ZTech, yes, you may blame one or two lecturers here and there, but I can assure you with all confidence that the bottom line will be you went through campus and people expect that you deliver results. And if you are not able to deliver those results, then they will not be blaming any one of your lecturers. They will actually be blaming you. So prepare or repair. That's my reflection this morning. Let me get into it. What I want us to cover today. So I want us to get into right into I'm just trying to wonder, and probably I will test this with a few of you if possible once we are done. I would want to know how possible would it be for me to share an audio here. But I'll check that as we continue, definitely. If you have any thoughts on how that can be made possible, you can also share. I would expect that there is option for, one of the options is maybe to attach the audio on a PowerPoint, but I'll check and see if that works. But nevertheless, let me see if we can be able to go through a couple of discussions this morning. So today we are starting with just looking at the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment for for .NET framework. Yeah, and just try to understand what are the things that we need to understand in this environment, and what are some of those crucial things that are of interest to us, even as we will be engaging a bit in programming. Yes, let me see if I can share my screen right there. So welcome all of you. I'm seeing we are 11 now, so I'll continue and see how far we can go within an hour, and then I'll release us to do some few exercises after that. Okay, so last week we were looking at just understanding the architecture of .NET framework, and if we were to recap, what are some of the components of .NET framework that we talked about? Just before I get to today's lecture, so that I'm not, so that I confirm if we are together. What are some of those components of .NET framework that we talked about last week? Anyone can type in, or should I sample a few people? What are the components that we talked about for, components within .NET framework? We looked at various components and just what are their functions, various components and their functions within a .NET framework. Barasa, you were here last week. What are those things that we talked about? Who else was here last week? Makanga, you were here last week, if I remember well. Happiness, you were here last week. What are the components that we talked about? Innocent, you were also here last week. What are those components that we talked about? .NET framework. If we were to think about .NET framework, what are the components that come to our mind? And what is their functions? Or why do we need those components within .NET framework? Okay, common language specification, that's one of them. Yes, and there are a couple of things we talked about common language specification. Let me hear what is the function? Class libraries, the base class libraries is something that we also talked about. What is the function of these components? So the common language specification, the base class libraries. Anyone can type in what you picked up. So what are the functions of common language specification? What is the function of base class libraries? Yes, and any other component we mentioned about last week? Kipto, you were here last week. What are the components that we talked about? I think Winston was also here last week, if I'm not wrong. What are some of those? And even if you are not here, I expect by now you have gone through the lecture and understood. The video is also there on the blue button collaboration session that I created. So if you get there and you are registered for this unit, you'll be able to get the video and you can run it and get to understand what you're talking about. But I just want to know what we mentioned. So common language specification is a language neutral component that helps in execution of languages. Okay, so one, it's a language neutral component. And remember, we talked about this as a platform where we do type matching, because we are looking at we are looking at various languages that are integrated with .NET framework. And so type matching is important. And we said common language specification is one of those components that helps us in type matching. We also said that this is a layer of .NET framework that is open source. Open source in the sense that it's very easy for someone to do an integration of this particular layer with any other language. And that is why the .NET framework has been, it has been possible for us to integrate so many languages. We say even more than 30 languages have been integrated with this platform. Or they are what is the word? They are, we can be, if they are compatible, the word is compatible. They are compatible. More than 30 languages are compatible with .NET. So you just need to pull, a library somewhere and install, and you are able to run a particular language. We talked about common language runtime. So we said also .NET framework, just before I go to what Mutua Angela has said, we said that .NET framework support for handling exemptions. Yes, we said that garbage collection and exemption handling is part of what, the capabilities that .NET framework comes with. Then also we said that common language runtime is the one that provides interoperability between different languages. Now, I would want us to be very clear on that. Common language runtime, I think mostly the interoperability is handled at a higher level, especially on common language specification layer. But yes, the conversion of any given source code written in whichever language is done at the common language runtime. So we are able to change a given language, any given source code, into what we call an intermediate language. And through that, we can be able to, we can be able now to convert that intermediate language into an executable code. And the component that does that is what we call a just-in-time compiler. So .NET also provides tools that can be used to protect resources and code from unauthorized user. Okay, that's the issue of security, which has also been mentioned by Wilson and Huntington. The other thing is common language runtime provides a similar environment for execution of codes in various programming languages. Yes, execution of codes in various programming languages, that's true. I don't know if that is what Angela was trying to say, because execution, yes, it happens at the common language runtime. We are able to convert that particular high-level language into a language called intermediate language, and that intermediate language is now what we translate into an executable code in the just-in-time compiler. And so that is a difference that we may need to establish right there. The other thing is common language runtime provides a similar environment for execution of codes in, okay, that I have mentioned. Maybe environments that allows multiple high-level language to be used in different yes, we said that we can be able to run various languages in .NET framework. And we have several that come by default in .NET, like F#, G-Script, C#, VB, just a couple of them there. But the ones that are not there by default, we can add, something like a plugin or something like, the libraries for that language, and we pull the language in there. Okay, so those are really good thoughts, and it's good to know that we are following what we are learning. So today we would want to focus our energy um, on just understanding the key features or just the IDE itself. I have the version 2019, and I mentioned in the WhatsApp group that you may need to download. It's free for download. The .NET Framework platform is free for download from Microsoft website. And so you can be able to pull that and bring it into your machine if you have a laptop. If you're using a phone, you may want also to consider and check, are there applications that have been developed that can help you to code in C#, because that also could probably in one way or the other help you to follow what we'll be tackling here. But I would want maybe my approach here will be just to introduce you to the various parts of a .NET integrated development environment for us to just get an understanding. Then after that, I will look at data types and try to simulate a few codes or write a few codes that can get us starting. So we are looking at what is on the screen right now is just a new project that has been created and that has various windows or various paths that um, help us to perform various tasks within .NET Framework. So we have the code editor, we have the solution explorer, we have the output window and the properties. The code editor is, of course, definitely by default is where we are able to write the code. So in high level language, our focus in this class is going to be majorly on C# as a language. And then we have Solution Explorer on this end where we can be able to see the libraries of the files that we are using. And sometimes we can do some view editing so we can see the classes or rather the libraries of all the files that we've been able to create within our machine when we start a new project. Then when we run the code, we are able to see, if there are any errors, if there are any warnings, we are able to see that at the output window, especially when we are talking about console applications. And that's where we will start. We'll start with console applications. So we are able to see that. The properties window is usually it usually comes handy when we are talking about Windows applications because we are able to enhance the properties of various elements that we are creating on an interface using the properties window. And then up here, we have now the menu that has various commands that we can be able to use and execute. Part of those are the ones that we'll be using. And so I will not focus a lot of my energy in that, just to introduce you to some of those elements. Then the other thing is, so I've said code editor is where we write the code. Solution Explorer shows the files that you're working with. The properties pane give you additional information and the context about the selected parts of the project. So if you have an element like a button and you want that button to be, you want to see the properties of that button, you just select it and you go to the properties pane and you're able to see that. The output window displays debugging and error messages, compiler warnings, status messages, among others. And that is something I've mentioned. Then we have also the menu, which is able to give us a number of support there or functions that we can be able to use when we are developing applications. Part of this class is going to be just to look at various data types. that we have in .NET framework. And these are some of those that we have. I think the only data type I would expect that probably we have not had before is decimal. Yeah. Decimal is the only data type I would expect that we are not very, very conversant with. But the others, I think we are very, very conversant. And so I would want to probably switch gears into that. So this is just a whole simulation of how to create a new project, maybe a console application, and I won't go into this because I want us to do it practically. So I won't go through the slides, but in case you are stuck, then you know where to refer. I think the notes that I'm using here, I used Microsoft Visual Studio 2012, if I'm not wrong. But there might be slight changes on the interface. I think, yeah, this was 2013, but there might be some slight changes on the interface because what I'm using is 2019. So we'll just try and create a few projects, or rather console applications. The place for us to start is console applications, and that's what I'll start with. And we will see if we can simulate a couple of them in the next half an hour or so for us to get the gist of what we are talking about. So I have Visual Studio. Let me know where we are at. Are we able to install Visual Studio? Please type in. Let me know if you are stuck in any way. But also, I would want to know how many by the virtue of the devices that you're using, you can't be able to install. Okay, which one I would recommend? Thank you, Innocent, for asking the question. The question on which one do I recommend, I think the most current one is 2019, if I'm not wrong, and that is what I installed here. So for me, I would say there is no harm in you going by that. But as far as I know, there is no much difference for any one of those. Is no much difference from 2012 coming downwards, 2013, 2016, 2018, 2019, any one of those versions. The difference is very minimal, so it may not have a huge impact for you if you are using any one of those versions. But for illustration purposes, I think it's important if you use the same one that I am using right now. I am just wondering. Wow, I am wondering if it's possible for me to show my screen. Let me see. Is it possible for me to show my screen? Just give me a minute. I am just trying to, I'm trying out this. But as I try this, I need feedback. I need feedback. I think I may want to ask, how many of us have installed Visual Studio in their machines? If you have, please share with us. Let me know how many of us have installed Visual Studio in our machines. Anyone who has installed Visual Studio in their machines? I'm wondering why my screen is not serving me. Okay, this is working now. Anyone? Okay, how many, by the fact that because of the devices they are using, they can't be able to install Visual Studio? Lois, are you saying something? Guys, I need feedback. I need feedback so that I know how to work around this. So whichever the feedback is, it's important for me to know how to go about this. So I need each one of you to tell me I am able to install, but maybe I have not installed yet, or because of the device I'm using, I can't be able to install, so that I know how many people are. Yeah, so like Barasa, you haven't installed, but you can be able to install. Those are the feedbacks I'm looking for. Already installed weekly. Uh, what are the requirements of the app from Brian? I don't know if maybe you may want to check, because I know it requires, like 2019 would require a 64-bit operating system, which would be like a 20 Windows 10 and above. Yes, but I would want you to check the site. Maybe I may be making assumptions here, but I'm making assumptions that I'm dealing with um, third year, second sem students. So they may have interacted with this through the course. I mean, installation of softwares here and there. So it shouldn't be a big problem. But in case it's a problem to you, please don't keep quiet. Try and engage so that we can assist one another. Yes, if you can try to be running, so it's just opening a new tab and typing Microsoft Visual Studio, typing this on a new tab, or maybe on Google, Microsoft Visual Studio, something like this. Let me see what because even I had formatted my machine, so I didn't have it. I installed just this morning. It is a bit heavy. This is actually what I typed in the morning, and I got the version I was looking for. So if you get Visual Studio 2015, 2012, 13, 15, any one of them, it can actually save you. I typed this on Google, and I got 2019 version. So the first option I got, give me something like this. Let me show you. Let me show you this. Yes, I got something like this. And so I downloaded 2019. The installer just comes and you are able to download. I am particularly concerned with getting C# features on that. So we must make sure that the installer also installs C# features. But I think this one by default is able to install that. If you are using a Mac, a Macintosh operating system, then you can consider this other option. But if you are using a Windows operating system, you can consider this. So as we continue, I think you can try that. Today is preliminaries, but as we move on, we may need you to actually work on a couple of things. And some of those things we will be presenting right here. We will be coming here and engaging. Wilson, what's the issue that you can't be able to install? Is it that you're using a phone to connect here? Is it that your machine may not be able to pick such a heavy software? It's a heavy software, I must say. What is the issue? Have I heard from Grace? I haven't seen your posts. Are you able to install this software? Did I hear from Huntington? Hamza as well. Hamza? Each one of you needs to type. I need to know the 14 of you who are here. Are you able? Are you able to get this? Okay, installing. So, Wilson, what's the issue? So, Brian, you are able, but not yet. You're having an issue with your system. Let me know. But yes, if you're not able to get it right now, I'll still give you an opportunity to work on it through the week, so that by the next time we meet, you are able to follow with us. Yes. Okay. Barasa, are you there, Barasa? Have I heard from you? Oh, yeah. Okay, I see your message. I see your message, Barasa. Okay, I know that may take time, so we can't wait until you install, otherwise our time will be spent in that. But I will just continue to make some few presentation. Then after that, later on you can try them out and I'll give you the examples I'm using. So I would want us to simulate, or rather to just develop console applications. We begin with console applications. And this is just to also jumpstart our skills in programming. So I am hoping you can be able to see my screen, and my screen is just, I think this is the third window after you click the icon for the the application that you have installed. This is, I think, the third window, and it's the one that is showing. So the other ones were not showing on your screen. So I had to go to next up to this level. And I said, we have all these other ones, but I want to focus more on console applications, but also developing console applications in C# specifically. So I will select console application here and here, okay, this one. And then I'll just go to next. And then I'll give it the name. So let me just maybe call it project 1. project one, or example one, probably. Example one, 2020, something like that. And then I'll create. So if yours is working, then you can please follow with me what I'm doing. So like we said, it's a heavy software, so sometimes responding can be an issue. Let me give it some time. Let's see. Yes, it's creating the project. So the project has been created. Let me share the screen of what I have. Wow. Yes. So this is what I have. So by default, you would expect that there are some libraries that have already been that we have there. I hope you can see my screen. And what I was saying is, like I said last time, is that we have the code editor, we have the solution explorer, we have the properties window, and also the output window down here. And so you can be able to do a few codes there. And I'll just start with, for the purposes of time, I think I'll try to maybe write programs by just copying what I have on my examples. So, for example, the first program is a Hello World program. So we have console.write, which is the function that you use in Java to output something on the screen. In Java, what is the function that you use to output something on the screen? Who can I ask that question? Wilson, which function do you use? Or, yeah, whatever you would want to call it. But how do you output something on the screen? That's what I'm asking in Java. Because I believe that you have been able to cover that before. How do you output something on the screen? No, I'm asking from the code, if I want to see hello world, which function do I use? So I'm not asking about compiling or building or anything. System.out, okay. How about to input from the keyboard? This is also a way for me to know if you guys have that background information. How about to input a value from the keyboard? And also, what is the version of the same in C++? If you've looked at C++, what is the version of the same in C++? So So here we are talking about console.write as our function to output hello world on the screen. And then we are saying console.read key because we want to sustain the output on the screen. I'm not sure if you will be able to see my screen when I run this. I'm not sure. Now this is a challenge we have with Okay, I noted your comment, Wilson. I don't know if this is showing. I don't think it's showing. That would be quite a task for me to keep changing. Oh, sorry, I had muted. So what I was saying is, I can see your comment, Winston. On C++, we talk of C out for displaying something on the screen. We talk about we talk of C in for entering from the keyboard. Yes, in C programming, we talk about printf for outputting on the screen, and scanf for scanf for entering from the keyboard. And those are just some of the functions that you know. Yes, I can see your comments. So the output that we get for the program is what you're seeing on the screen, and that's just to begin. Yeah, that's just to begin and to see what we can have. Now, the data types that we are talking about are not anything different. So for example, and I want to try and check, just go through this slowly by slowly. We may have come along or across such a project, such a program as this. Write a program to illustrate an integer data type. So the first program we have written is write a program to display hello world on the screen. Okay, so the second program is write a program to illustrate an integer data type. And if you are writing, now best practice, and I need to mention this, best practice for each one of you would be as we cover this, ensure that you are writing some of those programs, not some, but all, in your books, because it helps you a lot when you want to revise for the same. So I am writing something like this. Okay, let me share the screen in a short while. So you remember declaration of variables and initialization of variables. You must have covered that in the previous units. So declaring a variable and initializing that variable. So like what we have on the screen is we declared a variable of type integer and we stored a value 5 in that variable. If you are able to see that on the screen, then we want to output. We want to output the value that we have stored in the variable x that we created. And so that should be the output. If you are seeing that on the screen, it's there. And then we want to sustain the results on, we want to sustain the results on the screen. We want to sustain the results on the screen. So that's another thing that you need to note there. So this is integer data type. Integer data type. Let me see on messages. I was just trying to. Okay. If I was to share the notes here of what I am talking about, so the program I'm referring to is a program such as this. The program I'm referring to is this one. I'm sharing on the notes. Are you able to see that on the notes? Chat. If you are able to see, you type on the chat, not on the notes. If you are able to see what I have typed on the shared notes, I'm realizing maybe running these programs is becoming quite a task because I have to. Okay. Yeah, because what is happening is if I run this program this way, then the pop-up that comes, because it's a console application, you realize that I have now to drop this screen and share the other one, and that may be quite tasking. But at least now we are understanding what we mean. I'm saying what I have shared is on the shared notes. If you check on the left hand side, there is the name of the names of the people who are participating, and you can see users are 14. I believe the screen is the same on your side. And then up there is shared notes. If you click there, you see a program I have written there, which is what is being displayed here. So even if you want to run, you can actually copy this very fast and run in your as a program for you. Yes, and this is now to demonstrate an integer data type, an integer data type. So can I give someone an opportunity here? Or who wants to volunteer and on the shared notes, type for us a program to illustrate a program to illustrate what? Boolean data type. Anyone? Anyone who wants to try? A program to illustrate Boolean data type. And you can just type your thoughts on the shared notes. I know I'll give you assignments here, so there will be no option. You will have to do. Yeah. So here what we are saying is for Boolean data type, then we would expect first is the libraries that we are using. So this is, remember this is a case sensitive, C# is case sensitive. So using system, then the namespace that we are using, which more or less is like the class that we are using. The namespace, I mean, it's the object, yeah, that we are using, sorry. So we have the class and we have the object. Just a minute, I check something here. So what we are saying is for Boolean, now we know that Boolean is that particular data type that we can define, you know, two distinct values, either true or false. Yes, either true or false. And so I can be able to name that. So actually the namespace is basically the name of the project that we are dealing with here. And so even if I called this example 2, so this one for me was example 1. Actually, I need to change this. I had labeled it example 1 2020. So this can be example 2. Are you seeing, guys, are you seeing what I'm typing? Example 2 2020. Please confirm you're seeing what I'm typing on the chat box. Let me see. Okay, good. Then this is a better place for us to work from. It's easier this way. So I can write namespace example 2, which is now the name of the project. And then the class that I'm going to use, the class, and this can be program just as we have had. Program, and then I can start. Now, by default, any given program that you write must have at least one function, and we know that. So the function here is a function that has no arguments and returns no value because it's a void. The return type is void. You must be seeing that. So we have void and the arguments are null. So it's a function that's the main function, this one, the main function, and any given program in object oriented must have at least one function, and that's what we have there. And so if I want to have a Boolean data type, then I can be able to define that. So Boolean, let's say x is equals to true. X is equals to true. And then I can say console dot write, and I want to output that value x. And then I will say console dot read key. Remember, this is case sensitive, so you have to be cautious about that. In case you have any question, please make sure that you type in, and I'll close the program 3 times, of course, because of I opened this 3 times, so I have to close 3 times. So this would be an illustration of a Boolean data type. Now, the difference of this with a string data type. So if I was to illustrate a string data type, and the string data type here would be something like this. So if I want to illustrate a string data type, string data type, then I would still simulate the same process. So using system, which is the library that I'm using, the namespace, which is the name of the program that I'm creating. You can say this is example 3, 2020. And then the class that I want to use. So class here will be maybe, let's say, even program. Then I can go ahead and write my first function, which is a main function, and it's a function that doesn't have a return. It's a void function, so no return type, no arguments within the function, and then string arguments there. And then I can now declare the string data type. So if I was to talk about the string data type, this would be different. Yeah? Even if I was to say, actually, this is the difference between Boolean. If I was to write like this, x is equals to true. Somebody, do you think this would run? If I write like this, do you think it would run? And if not, then why do you think it can't work? If yes, why do you think the syntax is right? Anyone on the chat box? Do you think this would work? What I have written. I'm using string data type. Do you think it would work? Wycliffe is saying, okay, Wycliffe is saying no. Why? Why do you think so? No. Why do you think it can't work, Wycliffe? Okay, correct. So, Innocent, that's good. We are saying it can't work because when we are using string data type, we would want to put quotes on the characters. So this one, sorry, the down one here. This one here should have quotes. Otherwise, this one works because it's Boolean. So it's either true or false. So even if I said I write here false, it would still work because it's Boolean. Yeah. So X would, the output of this program would be false. But this one, we have to put quotes because we are using a string data type. So it's an array of characters. That's what we mean by string. So I hope we are there. Wow, I know our time has really gone, but I would want to probably, I would want to give you an assignment, a short assignment, very, very short assignment that we will do and submit. And that will form part of our assignment one. So let me set up that in the meantime. But also, for now, you can be looking at just the other, the notes that we have been looking at this morning. As I set up something here that we can work together. But I am glad that at least I can note that a number of us are following. So in case you are there and maybe you are wondering what is happening, please feel free to share. Don't shy away. That is why we are here, to help one another. So I'll be willing to help for you to be at par with us. Either you can send me a message directly there on the chat box or privately on the same chat box, no problem. Okay. So give me a few minutes to set up, but our discussion would be also around this. So let me set those two in a short while, and then we will continue. I'll give you the guidelines. A minute. Okay. right, so let me upload this and we can be able to use it for our assignment 1. Good. Um, I have uploaded an assignment. It's going to form part of our assignment 1 in this class. It's there on, hope it's already there now. Yes, it's there on lecture 3. Please go ahead and check it out. It's more or less on what we have just been talking about here. The second question should be purely on, the second question is on just write one program that can be able to illustrate all those data types. Yeah, and then we will, so you have up to next week, and my late submission rule applies. So up to next week to do that. Any questions? Any questions? Now, for our discussion today, okay, let's do the assignment for today. I will not have a discussion forum. Let's do the assignment for today, and then we will engage next week for more, just getting deeper. But we will try to demonstrate this using console applications. Then after that, we will now have an understanding of the syntax that can help us to get into Windows applications and just developing drag and drop Windows applications, which in one way or the other will be a bit easier. So if there is no any question, then I would want to invite us to just go to the dashboard and do the assignment that is there. Now, like I said last week, is the assignments I had uploaded. I realized I hadn't updated them. And so I may be doing away with them, to be honest, so that I have fresh ones for us for this semester. I will upload the code examples I was using. I'm uploading them now for your reference. So in case you need to refer to them, you will find them on the dashboard. I'm just uploading them. If you have any question, please raise it up and I can be able to answer that. That is to mean in case you had some loose connection and probably you need to catch up with us in one way or the other, just you will be able to get the video that I have recorded here, and also you will have the examples that I was using on this course, on the dashboard of this course, and so you can be able to just go through the whole session all over again and make this work for you. Just that is just in case you had a disconnection at some point. Let me upload that file. Then after that, I'll take the attendance and I'll release us. So let me take the attendance now, and then anyone who wants to leave, I'll release you to do that. So please type in present, present, present so that I can see your names on the chat box. Just type in present and I will be able to pick. Okay, good question. What is a Boolean data type? A Boolean data type is a true or false data type, yeah? So it's a data type that outputs true if the condition is true and outputs false if the condition is false. So a true or false data type. Okay. So let me take. Let me take the roll call very fast. So this class is supposed to have how many people? Okay. Let me check. Abdi is not here. Is this guy part of us? So let me see. So Angela is here. Anna was not here today. I haven't seen Anna. She joined? No. Anna is not here. Barasa is here. Ndungu is here. Brian Oluoch was not here today. Oh, he's here. He's here. Okay. Chacha is not here. Where is our class rep? Chris is present, is absent today. This is absent. David absent. Hamza is here. Happiness is here. Immaculate is not here. Winston is here. Nyambura is not here. Huntington is here. Makanga is here. Wangoi Milka is. Are you here, Wangoi Milka? Milka is not here today. Okay. So Milka is absent. Lois is here. Lois, I saw you. Yes, yes, you're here. Okay. Nicholas is not here. Onesimus today was absent. Have I heard from Onesimus today? Nope. Okay, Onesimus was absent today. Innocent is here. Kaburuchu is not here. Grace is here. Wilson is here. I think I saw Wilson. Is it Wilson or Winston? Wilson, are you there? Wilson was here. I don't know what has happened. Then Wycliffe. Okay. Okay, so that's the attendance. I think I am done here. Thank you guys for your time, and thank you for engaging. I think if any one of us now wants to leave, I can. So Angela, her laptop ran out of power and she lost power at her area. But she was here earlier. Angela, I think I mentioned her name. Yes, Angela was here. Let me confirm if I have ticked her present. Angela was here, I remember. So in case you need to leave, I will excuse us. The class is dismissed. You can leave at your own pleasure. If you want to hang around, or if you are missing your classmates and you want to say hi to someone here, then you are free to do so now. There's Angela. Yes, Angela was present. I ticked her present. Okay. Yes, 14 of us were here today. 11 were absent. Thank you for your time. All the best, and I'll see you next time here. Thank you.